Hey guys, it's John again from Haive Music, and today I've got another tip that revolves around using equalizers here for you, specifically when it comes to getting two tracks to sit nicely together. Specifically in this tutorial, we're going to kind of go through getting your kick and your bass to kind of sit better in the mix together and quit fighting over frequency ranges and causing nasty low-end phasing issues and all that ugly stuff. The most common way to control your bass and your kick is to basically just slap a sidechain compressor on your bass and sidechain it to your kick so it ducks out of the way whenever your kick hits, and that's all fine and good. But sometimes you might not want to just slam everything against a sidechain. In my opinion, that happens way too drastically and heavily in today's music, and it's there are better ways, that are more elegant ways to handle your low end, especially than slamming everything against a compressor. And this could be used in conjunction with the compressor, or even depending if you're using like a more mellow style genre where you don't want such a heavy sidechain. This can definitely help you clean up your mix, especially in regards to the low end of your mix, without having to rely on such a heavy sidechain to do that for you. So for the purposes of this, I have found that Pro-Q from FabFilter does this. I know Pro-Q 2 as well as Pro-Q 3 both support what I'm going to show you, as well as Ableton's built-in EQ8. So we're going to go over Pro-Q 2 here first. I know Pro-Q 3 just came out the other day, so I don't know how many people are going to have it yet, but Pro-Q 2, I know a lot of people do. Unfortunately, I don't own Pro-Q 1, so I don't know if the original supports this method, but I know 2 and 3 do, and they do differ, so I'm going to show you both. So let's just start out again with Pro-Q 2, and what we're going to do is basically just slap an EQ on our kick, just for the sake of demonstration purposes. And of course, just to kind of start out, I'm going to show you what we're working with. I've soloed the kick, or excuse me, the drums and the bass together, so you can give an idea what we're working with here. So as you can hear, there is a sidechain on my bass, but I still feel that they could kind of fit together a little bit better. And so basically, again, what we want to do, we want to just put that equalizer right on our kick, which is where it's at. So now we've got that, and we would just basically want to equalize or EQ our kick up. And unfortunately, I'm working in headphones, so I can't really hear what this is going to be doing to the bass. So we're just going to, for the sake of demonstration, just make some peaks right here, and just add a little bit to our EQ just to have something here. And let's turn off freezing. There we go. So now we have some equalizing. We're clipping a little bit. We'll worry about that in a second. So let's just say that's how you wanted your kick set up. This is obviously not what you do, but in the instance that you did have some equalization on your kick, that you now are having problems with your kick and your bass interfering with one another, assuming, basically what you need to do at this point is determine whether you want the kick to be more predominant in your mix or whether you want the bass to be more predominant in your mix, depending upon your styling, your genre, etc. In my particular case, and probably in most, you're going to probably want your kick to punch through over your bass versus having your bass punch through over your kick. So in this case, we're going to start with our kick and work into our bass. So we're going to basically take our equalizer from our kick, and now we're going to go back down to our bass. We're going to just paste it. And what we can do is we just want to inverse these. And the easiest way to do this, unfortunately, in Pro-Q 2, what you can't do is just basically go, oh, this one's at 1.73, so we'll just go negative 1.73 dB. Doesn't work, unfortunately, for all of them. But what you can do in Pro-Q 2 is select all of your points. And then now we're at 2.98 dB of gain. You can just bring this knob down. Negative 2.98. And it's a little tricky to get exactly there, but there we go. Perfect. So now we've got the actual inverse that easy on our bass. So we've got this on our bass, and on our kick, we've got our positive values, and they should sit together a little bit better. And of course, we're clipping a little bit, so we're just gonna drop this down by 2.2 dB. And you can tell they just mesh a little bit better now. Obviously, you've got weird frequency ranges that are being pushed up in a kick after it's already been EQ'd, but and again, I don't know really how that sounds working in these headphones. I can't really hear sub-frequencies all that well, but I would suspect that this, you know, if you're doing this and you actually had your equalizer up here, you know, your first EQ that you'd be really working with, and you subtracted those frequencies out of your bass, you know, that would obviously help clean that kick and bass correlation up and help them kind of glue together a little bit tighter. And from there, you could lessen the amount of your sidechain compression that you're using to kind of drive those. So yeah, that's how you do it in Pro-Q 2. Now, as I said, Pro-Q 3 is even easier. So let's load up Pro-Q 3 on our kick. And we're going to do the same thing. Just, again, just pop in some arbitrary values just for the sake of having something in here. Okay, good enough. Perfect. And now what we want to do, again, we're just going to take our equalizer on our kick, and now we're going to copy it over to our bass. Paste it right in. And then, now, this is even easier on Pro-Q 2, or excuse me, Pro-Q 3. You just highlight them all. And now you can right-click on any point and invert gain. They put this option right in here. Just boom, that easy, and done. So now you've got the complete inverse of your kick equalizer. Again, we're just gonna drop this down 2 dB just to get clipping out of the way there. And it's that easy, just to clean up your bass kick correlation a little bit more. So like I said, if you don't have Pro-Q 3, or if you don't have Pro-Q, go ahead and definitely, it's worthwhile at least trying the demo out and checking out Pro-Q 3. And if you have 2, definitely 3 is a worthwhile upgrade just for a couple features that I found already that are in it. However, you know, like I said earlier in the video, if you don't have FabFilter Pro-Q, or perhaps you don't even like it, and you do use Ableton, you can get away doing something similar using Ableton's built-in EQ8. EQ3, as far as I can tell, does not support this, but the EQ8 does. So basically what you can do is just, we're going to do that again. We're just going to throw an EQ on our kick, and we're just going to do the same thing. Just add some boosts here just to see what we're working with a little bit better. And again, we're just going to boost this up. We're just going to drop this down a little bit so we're not clipping like crazy. We still are, but there we go. Okay, so now basically what we need to do is just copy this guy. And we're going to, again, just go over to our bass. We're just going to paste it. And we'll just bring that back to 0 here on our bass. But this time, this Ableton's EQ has a scale function. I'm just going to bring that right down to -100. And you can see it does the inverse that easily. And again, very simple. Very, very simple. But it really helps clean up the correlation between the low end on you know, those two things that are commonly an issue on pretty much any track that you're working with. And that should definitely not only glue them together a little bit more and help kind of tighten them up and just make them sound more cohesive with far less phasing issues and frequency conflictions, but it should also allow you to lessen the amount of sidechain on there and loosen it up a little bit, so it's not so apparent that you're just slamming everything against a compressor. You know, I know that that's kind of a stylistic thing, and a lot of people love doing it. Not only just a stylistic thing, that's just what's been thrown around everywhere. You can just, you know, slam everything against a compressor and sidechain it, and that'll fix everything. But you know, in reality, it's not really an elegant solution. It works, and it works well, and it's certainly useful and can be very, very helpful to clean up the low end in pretty much anything. But there are different and other ways of doing it in addition to or in place of, depending upon your styling and track. So I just want to kind of make people aware of how much easier it is to do that than you otherwise might be aware. And hopefully you can either use that technique alone to help clean up your mixes, or even in addition to just get things a little bit tidier and cleaner and better sounding. So yeah, hopefully it helps you guys out. And like I said earlier, I don't know if other EQs support that type of functionality, but you could always go in, play around with them, try to select them, and try to play around with the gain knob and see what they do. You might be surprised at maybe your favorite EQ has that functionality, you never even knew it. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys out. And